ENDSARS. 2 years later, what has changed? It's been 2 years since Nigerian youths took to the streets all over the country to demand an end to police brutality, specifically an end to the activities of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, aka SARS. The historic protests ended after the Nigerian military brutally attacked unarmed protesters at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos on October 20, 2020. It's been 2 years since the events of that sad day, and we spoke to 7 concerned Nigerians to answer the question: has anything changed?
To begin, I think that even since 2020, after the Nigerian government dissolved SARS, the Nigerian police force has continued to extort, to brutalize innocent citizens.
I do not think, in my own opinion, that much has changed. And being a survivor of police brutality, I can assure you that nothing has changed for most families. And I'm in contact with a lot of them. It's still business as usual.
Going out there to protest, there is an important factor that we were looking at. We wanted to end police brutality. We wanted to go out of our homes and not fear that you might get arrested or you might get harassed by or assaulted by police officers. But the fact is that 2 years after, we are still at the same point.
Eyes are on them now, so they just feel like it only takes one wrong move from one of their operatives out in the open, and then we are back to this whole. So they took their operations to more, upscale parts. But this is not to say they don't still do what they do. They still do it, and we still see them, we still meet them.
I still get DMs till today when people are complaining that police did this, or took them to ATM or POS and stole from them. So people will withdraw and the police will take it, or they'll make a transfer to accounts. It's still there. It's still there. Not in the same magnitude as it was before, but it's still there.
In a way, I'm not going to say that police brutality or police harassment has, been eradicated totally, but to an extent, it's been, it's reduced.
These things are still happening, even up until now. The only thing I can say is that it has just reduced, but it's still happening out there. I can count how many times the police have stopped me or they profiled me after the events of, the Lekki, whatever. But what I can say is that I haven't seen SARS officers. I don't see them as much like before.
I don't speak for the police, neither am I their PRO. So whatever it is that they are doing, we might not be able to see it on our own end. We might not be able to see the full works because, they also don't say everything that they're doing. There is a system, so they have rules and regulations that they follow. However, one can't ignore the fact that they've started to put a lot of PROs out there. For example, we have off the top of my head, I'm already seeing 3 handles, police PPROs, just to show people that we are here, you can talk to us. And to an extent, it's been easier because a lot of people who would naturally DM myself or other people now DM these guys. And from the feedback we're getting, most of them have their issues resolved, once they DM any of these people, and their numbers are also out there. You can call them any time of the day. So for that, police response, I'll give them a thumbs up because they have actually improved on that.
In a situation where there is police harassment and brutality now, when people make reports, even just via social media, whatever report, when people make reports these days, they swing into action really fast to call the policemen to order. I mean, it doesn't happen everywhere, but it's been happening more. It's been happening recently, and because they understand that we know now, we know what's happening exactly. We are fully aware of our rights. We are aware of we are aware of every single thing that's happening around us. We are aware of the country. We are aware of, the bad things happening in society. We are aware of every single thing, and we were able to pass our message. And they heard us, but did they listen to us? Maybe not, but they heard us.
A tweet just came in. Rinu tagged me to it and was like, "Oh, someone has been arrested, tear gassed, and taken to area F." I just went to Ben's, the PPRO's, Lagos State PPRO. I just went to his TL, picked out the number of the officer in charge at area F. Before now, that number will not be available. But afterwards, some of the effort the police made on their own, they made contact of all police officers heading each unit in Lagos State available.
So I think that I would agree with people who say they're trying to prevent the occurrence of the ENDSARS protests. Yes, I already said earlier that they are there for image laundering. Also, it tells about how the Nigerian state is not willing or interested in any police reform, because you can't just be treating the cases on social media. What about the cases of the common man on the streets? Social media cases are only a small percentage of the actual police brutality, the actual impunity, of the extortions, of the extrajudicial killings, of the indiscriminate arrest, of the street raids happening out there. So who do those people, actually report to? I mean, I said earlier, I've always believed that immediately I saw many of them popping up online, and then you look at their sort of engagement, look at the cases, they cherry pick. It's just for image laundering, in my opinion.
First of all, if we want to begin to do any reforms in the Nigerian police, I think the highest ranking officers have to do, all of them, because they have failed in their duty. They can't even control their people, right? And then there should be a thorough re-education, reformation. And if you find out that this person is not being re-educated and reformed, please let them go. We need the Nigerian police to be overhauled. People will say, why are you asking for that? You are asking for chaos. But that's not what we are asking for. We need to overhaul it. And then maybe we do need community police. Because when people do things and know that they are known to their house, I think that it's a kind of corrective measure. But me, I don't believe in forcing people because you know them to their home. I believe in people actually doing the right thing because it is the right thing. For me personally, whether it is community policing, whether it is federal policing, whatever style of policing that they decide on, the channels of communication must be strengthened.
Before police welfare, you need to have the political will to address the issue. I believe the political will is not there yet.
I think it's political will, it's just what I said earlier. Nigerian state is not interested in police reform. Police as constituted in Nigeria currently serves the interest of the politicians. Police as constituted right from the beginning serve the interest of the colonialists, who after they left, they passed it to the politicians, and now they're serving their interest. So why end police brutality if the police is being used as a method of oppressing the citizenry, which is how the politician needs? Why end police brutality when they can be used, their show of force can be used to prevent citizens from coming out to protest? Why end police brutality when that same show of force can be used to how do I say this? There's a word for it, to make sure that people do not come out on elections day because they're afraid of the police on the streets. Why end police brutality when the politicians can just pick up a phone and say, go and arrest that man, and then he's going to be arrested because, well, it's the big man talking. So for me, it's political will.
I still feel we need to be sincere with our effort. Reason being that you can't come online, say police brutality, you are addressing it, you are doing this, you are doing that. Meanwhile, as soon as you get onto the streets, these things keep happening. That is because the accountability is not yet there. The police is focusing on publicity, ensuring that they have a good image. Meanwhile, the main problem, they are not addressing it.
It's never going to be enough until every single policeman in this country respects the rights of citizens. Until policemen are aware of their own rights and they are aware of our own rights and they are ready to uphold and respect our rights. And one of those rights is, on the police, you have no right whatsoever to stop me on the road, all right, to search my phone. Do you understand? Because that is what they go for. Do you understand me? Until policemen start to identify themselves first, until policemen start to tell people the reason why they are stopping them, whether this is a stop and search point or whatever law they broke on that point, until policemen stop taking people to POS and ATMs to withdraw money and all of those things, it's never going to be enough. It's not just by calling them out. People are more scared of the policemen than they are scared of thieves.
They should be paid well, because I've seen the barracks. It has always been like that for so many years, and with that type of mentality, with that kind of, like, when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you are seeing. Like, everything is just really messed up.
The fact is, the government needs to invest more in the welfareism, in the livelihood of these people. And then they themselves have to understand the fact that we're going onto the streets to say, oh, we want better, blah, 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 like we want a better means of service from the law enforcement agent. It's also fighting for them. That process is also fighting for them, because if we say a police reform, adequate remuneration, it is for their benefit. I know big police. I don't get a relative way big police, right? But if they say, oh, today there's an increment in police allowances and all of that, it'll bode well for them, right? But they themselves cannot protest. They cannot come out and protest. They can't do it. We are doing it on their behalf. They are still shooting us. It does not make any sense.
Policemen used to collect before this one, that they start taking people to ATMs to with them and everything. They used to collect 20 naira by the road, 15 naira by the road from the drivers and all those things. For people to be collecting money that small, 20 naira, 15 naira, till date, 200 naira, 500 naira, the ones that don't want to harass you, the 1K, 2K. Do you know how bad and how poor people must be to take bribes of 50 naira, 100 naira, 200 naira? So of course, when they have the opportunity to take bribes of 100k, 200k, or to extort you of 100k, 200k, and they have a gun with them, they are hungry. That's what's most likely going to happen. And aside the fact that some of them are genuinely wicked also, but yeah, poverty is like a very, very big weapon.
Number one, when people report cases to me, I call the officers involved, or I visit the police station involved. It would be difficult if a lawyer goes to the police station on your behalf and they realize that they found weed on you, they found this, they found that on you, or this was what you did, and then you are making it seem to be a police brutality case. So we have to be sincere with ourselves. You can't ask, as citizens, you have duties, you have obligations, and you have your rights. Fulfill your duties, demand for your rights. So you can't abstain from your duties and then you only be demanding for your rights. It's not done anywhere. You have to play your own part. Assuming I get to the police station now and they actually legitimately that they confirm they actually found weed on you, or they you misbehave towards officers, you are dragging guns with them, you are doing this and that, then it makes it difficult for me to help, because you have also acted the way you are not supposed to act, and the police officers, in their own interest, they want to defend themselves. So these are the issues. And also, we should also be very careful at some of the cases that we report as police brutality. Some of it, some persons will just tweet anything and just like, or even bring on a statement that are untrue. So when you get there, you are helpless. They will just show you the fact and everything, and then you find it difficult to even like defend the person you are there for.
We can continue to speak out for them, continue to mount pressure, and when the time comes, we have to vote leaders who, when we look at their history, their past governance, for example, the three popular candidates, or should we say 4 popular candidates, have all been in government. So they have track record. We compare and we contrast. Who would perform better? Who has more empathy? Who has shown that the lives of people serving under him, I'm saying him because the 4 popular candidates are men. So who shows that, or who cares more for the lives of the people serving under him?
Not as much as we've met or we've been harassed by terrible officers of the law, I've also met like some really wonderful policemen who have also helped me, people like that. So once again, I'm not giving any excuses for them or anything, but they're also human beings, and just relate with them like you relate with any other person. But stop almost sorry change it from 1 year.
So the last time, Nigerians decided we're going to come out and we're going to keep, we're going to ask for accountability. We're going to make sure that we don't go off the streets until the government accedes to our demands. We got the Module SARS unit disbanded, and that speaks of the efficiency of the office of the citizen, that when we put our mind to something, we can actually get it. So for me, I think that some of the things that citizens can do is to keep using our platforms, to keep using our voices, in essence, to use the office of the citizen to ask for accountability. That can be the 2020 can be the end of asking for accountability, because as long as the police officers, the criminals in uniform do not stop killing us, then we need to keep voicing out. So there have to be more citizens' actions. That's my opinion.
In all honesty, I would say that so there's been a decrease in the impunity that the SARS operatives operated back in the day. There's been they aren't so brazen as they used to be, in their approach. They just come into a young Nigerian youth and just asking you, what do you do? Bring out your phone, this and that. The impunity with which they operated, the high-handedness has reduced. This is not to say that their nefarious acts and whatnot has stopped in its entirety. It hasn't. Actually, they have moved to more obscure environments to perpetrate what it is that they're doing. But the fact remains that they still do what they do. They do what they do. Right? But the only thing is that they are not so bold anymore, And I think it just gives testament to the effect that the whole ENDSARS movement had.
I can say to an extent, yes, something worked. You now have access. That's number one. Then number two, people realize the importance of speaking up, because now you realize that I think it has helped in the areas of active citizenship, in the sense that people are now more involved in what is happening in politics. People are now more involved, that they are willing to vote. People are willing to participate in the process. And for the first time ever, we knew that, okay, our voice actually matters. So I think to an extent, it was a part, well, we won partly, because we were able to get some things that we didn't even think about. But with the main problem, I think we still have a very long way to go.
In the end, what did we do? What did we really do? Is it that the Nigerian police is unchangeable? Is that it? Is that what we are missing out? Is it that they cannot be reformed? Do we need a total overhauling of the system? Is it the leadership? What is it? Is it that they do not get the memo when it is sent out? Because when they say they've sent out the memo, don't harass people on the road and all, but they still do it. Don't profile people, they still do it. So why are the men of the police still doing all these things, even after we've marched grounded businesses, lost livelihoods, lost our lives. People died for this. So you begin to ask yourself, what did we achieve? Or are these people deliberately refusing to do the right thing? Maybe we achieved a lot. I mean, we now have them on social media. That's something. They care enough, they worry enough about us from over there.
I don't believe ENDSARS was a failure. And so I think that ENDSARS is a success, and it's still a success. The protests were a success. The movement is a success because the movement is still alive, up till today in our hearts. If somebody says ENDSARS, we know what to reply to them. I'd say that some of the successes of the ENDSARS movement is the fact that it's unified young Nigerians, across standings, across platforms. We all called for an end to police brutality together. Look at the page of an average Nigerian and look at the page of a Nigerian celebrity. You would see ENDSARS traces on both pages. So unified us and demonstrated that Nigerians can actually be unified. As opposed to being divided along religious and ethnic lines. It showed that we could put aside our differences, to come together for a common goal. There's always been this culture of, putting politicians as demigods in the country, and that culture changed during ENDSARS. Because for the average young Nigerian to tell a public servant or a leader to say Eromz okay, then that means that there was a reinvention of governance in the country about asserting rights, and so it gave us a new politically conscious society. And you can see the evidence today that voice that ENDSARS gave us meant that it will not be business as usual for political leaders, So I think that ENDSARS is a success. It was a success and it's still a success.
Citizen reached out to CSP Muyiwa Adejobi, the public relations officer of the Nigerian Police Force, to share the official position of the police on the matters raised. But he did not return phone calls or respond to several messages sent to his official phone number.